The government is officially launching an investigation into the woke school, where a teacher said that kids and their students can identify as cats if they want to. Now, isn't it sad that you can only get conservatism from this government when they are in trouble, when they panic about their existence and their upcoming election, their party unity, then you get this Tory government becoming somehow conservative. Okay, firstly, I'm going to praise that this is the right move. But obviously, we know why they're doing it, because they're panicking. So this is part of what they've been announcing this week, because earlier on, a few days ago, we reported on this channel that the government have decided to officially going to be banning woke teachers and woke schools from spreading nonsense. So for the first time in England, we're going to actually have this sort of regulation. Now, in Scotland, it's a whole different problem, because Rishi Sunak's government can't really enforce anything up in Scotland. That's Humza Yousaf, and Humza seems to be okay with woke schools. This story is from Jack Elson in The Sun, saying the government probing school after teacher scolded pupil who questioned classmates' claim that she could identify as a cat. Yeah, all right. So what's going on here? Because the Education Secretary, Gillian Keegan, who we have actually criticised a lot on this channel previously, she, for the first time, she's doing the right thing. She's standing up for common sense. Again, doesn't really mean that they are suddenly, these people like Keegan and many others in the government are definitely conservative and not woke, because they're still liberal Tories, but they know that they have to. If they want to keep their members happy, if they want to keep the conservative voters happy, if they want to make sure that Tory donors don't go to Reform UK as they are now, they're going to have to do something conservative. So she's going to be launching an investigation into at Rye College, this place that had this issue. We've got the images of it. So her regional director in Sussex has been tasked with ensuring that staff are not teaching contested opinions as facts. Good. This should have been done a few years ago. This should already be status quo. Why do we have to allow it to get so late and deep until we get politicians and governments do something about the chaos in our education system? The school has been slammed after a secret recording revealed that a teacher branding a pupil's views as despicable after she said that there were only two genders. Now, the whole point of schools and universities are there to create a platform for debate and critical thinking. But these days you can't. You have to shut up and just obey. All right, what has she actually said? The Department for Education said, following concerning reports regarding Rye College, the Education Secretary has asked the regional director to look into the matter further to establish the full details of the case and whether the school requires any additional support. Whatever that means. She launched this probe after Downing Street warned that teachers against imposing woke views onto kids. Okay, but the problem is that Keir Starmer is potentially going to be our next Prime Minister, and he could easily reverse all this. We know that. But for now, it's best to put some sort of concrete legislations or regulations to make sure if Starmer decides to reverse it, he will look like the idiot. Because I think the mood in the country is changing anyway, and there has been a backlash across society. It is now time for us to change the establishment. So we have Rishi Sunak and his spokesman coming out to say that teachers have a responsibility to encourage their students to engage respectfully with those they disagree with. They should also not be teaching contested opinions as facts or shutting down valid discussions and debates. It's important that parents and carers are reassured that children are not being influenced by the personal views of those teaching them. Any examples of that strays from this would be wrong, and we would expect head teachers to act. So we know that obviously recently Rishi Sunak has received a lot of criticism from the woke left because he said there are only two genders. And the problem we have is that there are some people who confuse globalism or the globalist agenda with the woke agenda. They're not necessarily the same thing. So you have people who are going with the globalist kind of consensus, whether it's economically or politically or socially, and that they have also been opposing the woke agenda. But sometimes it's been mixed. Sometimes you have people like Kamala Harris, for example, in America, mixing the two. Whereas the actual woke agenda, obviously the word woke was created by them. It's not like we created it. Now they say, you can't call us woke. Well, you call yourself woke, whatever you want to call it, cultural Marxism or the ultra progressive agenda. That's more of a liberal left wing nonsense. But then you have the corporatist globalists who want to rule the world, blah blah blah. They didn't really have the same views. Some did, some didn't. But now it's been mixed, and it's a little bit confusing for everybody because it doesn't just because you're a globalist doesn't mean you're woke. Now you have to be. If you listen to people like Joe Biden, it's very, very confusing, the whole political spectrum right now, because it's no longer about left and right, and it's mostly about authoritarianism versus freedom, control versus self-determination, and obviously ultra globalism versus sovereignty and nationalism. So we have to actually find out exactly how we can create a new position on the political spectrum for any new political party or an existing conservative leaning party to ensure that they can fight back properly. You can be a nationalist, a pro-sovereignty, and still do trade deals, and you don't have to surrender to international bodies. You can be liberal-minded on a very, very small L level, classical liberal, individual liberties, do whatever you want, as long as you don't impose it on the rest of society or harm society. So that's a balance, but there's no nuance in this debate. And this is the issue that we have. Anyway, we're going to have so many updates for you guys throughout the day. So the best thing you can do is subscribe to the channel. I'm Mahyar Tousi, and we are the media.